Let's try a problem like this where we're asked to find some information about some ion. Let's first think more about this notation. What does this all mean here? Well, the 34, that indicates the number of neutrons plus protons. Neutrons and protons. The -2 here, that means we've added 2 electrons to the atom. So we have to add 2 electrons. And the S, well, that's the element, it's sulfur. And we can use the periodic table to figure out some things about sulfur. So sulfur's right here, and sulfur has 16 protons. The atomic number, the number here, number of protons. So then the S tells us that we have 16 protons. So we know that we have 34 protons and neutrons. And because we have 16 protons, we must have 18 neutrons. Because 16 plus 18 gives us the 34. Now, neutral sulfur, if you're neutral, if you have a no charge in your sulfur, then you have 16 protons and 16 electrons, because the negatives and positives have to balance each other. But we know that we have 2 extra electrons. So if neutral sulfur has 16 electrons, this ion has 18 electrons. So we can now fill in a few of our boxes on our box. So we have protons, that's our 16. That's our 16 protons. We have 18 neutrons, and electrons are 18 as well. A few things here are some vocabulary terms. Atomic mass is in this case, the neutrons and protons. Neutrons and protons. And we know neutrons and protons, over here, that was 34. This is 34. The atomic number, that is the number of protons. And we know from the table that we have 16 protons. And a cation, this is a vocabulary term. This is a negative ion, this is a positive ion, and sulfur 2- is a negative ion, so it's an anion. The last two, valence electrons, requires a little bit of a Bohr diagram. So let's have a little Bohr shell here. We know we've got 18 electrons. 18 electrons. And we need to have 2 in the first shell, 8 in the next shell. We've now accounted for 10. So there's 10 drawn so far, and we have 18 in total. We've got to have 8 more. And the outer shell holds a max of 8. So 8 more. Then the outer shell, the outermost shell here has 8 electrons. And valence, that's the outermost shell. Number of occupied shells, we've got the middle inside shell, second shell, and the outside shell. So we've got 3 occupied electron shells.